Basically, if we talk about the robotic technology, I'll be like comfort is the one which I'm looking at when we talk about this procedure, and then second is the precision. Like I'm sitting in front of a camera, it is a 4K monitor, I can see the complete visualization of the coronary. It is just 10 centimeters in front of my eyes. I don't have to bend, I don't have to do work there. This is the most important thing what I like about the robotics. The whole control is in my hand. I don't have to stand for a long time. I don't have to bend over the things. I don't have to work in a mess what is created inside. So it gives me a better comfort level to operate when I do a robotics. It gives me a better sense of a thinking. Like making a judgment is very, very important when you do angioplasty, and it should be in a fraction of a second. And that gives a more advantage, the more edge when I sit outside in a calm environment without any mess around. This is the most important thing what I like about it. And some of the lesions like osteal lesions and bifurcation lesions, the 1 mm movement of a robot gives me a perfect precision over the struts. Like I want to put a 1 millimeter ahead of a struts, 1 millimeter behind the struts. That precision is fantastic with the coroners. Well, I know I won't lie, but I started initially with the subacute stenosis. Like ideal thing was you should start with the simple case and all those things. Then I was with 3-4 cases proctorship in with other cardiologists, and then I came here. First case I did here was a subacute obstruction. That was a 99% proximal LAD occlusion. By the way, I am doing right from simple cases to complex cases on robotic, and I am quite comfortable after the 50 cases. There was an initial learning curve when I crossed the wire, when to put a stent and other things. But then I operated on a simple type A, type B lesions in RCA, LAD, L6. I operated on a tortuous lesions. I have done a primary angioplasty with 100% proximal LAD lesion. In this case, I have done a bifurcation stenting with the robot. CTO, I won't say it was not a 3-month-old occlusion, it was around maybe a 2 months of old occlusion. By definition, it was not a CTO, but then 2 months old occlusion, which is the complete tapering and quite a calcified lesion, and I could able to do it with the robot. So by that say simple to complex, I have done all. Unlearning, like it is a process of unlearning. I have learned a tactile feedback. I have learned the tactile sensation of a wire when I cross a bifurcation and CTO for last 10 years. But I need to unlearn that when I do a robotic. Now what I need to learn now is a visual tactile, like visual tactile movements. It is like when you play a video game, you have the hand-eye coordination. The similar hand-eye coordination, when you cross a lesion, you get that kind of a sense in your mind. It's like when you learn some new musical instrument, you learn new things in that instrument. Similarly, when you learn a robotic angioplasty, the moment you cross a wire, you get that feel, you get that sensation, that small fraction of a second wire stops there and then it just moves in. That is equal to your tactile sensation. And basically, once you do 10 to 15 cases, you develop this I will say this is visual tactile sensation or something like that, but then you develop that kind of a sensation, and which is par to a tactile sensation. That's what I feel. It's more into a Lepman lesions like osteal LAD lesions, and when I do a reverse crush in a bifurcation lesion, I need to put my stent just 1 millimeter behind the strut, and then when I do it manually, the movement I can't put into ostia or into that 1 millimeter plus or minus to the strut. I need to arrange there, and it all has to be done in a very limited period of a time, because you are compromising a ostia, you are compromising a lesion, so there is chances of ischemia there. When I use a robot, there is a movement called as a 1 millimeter movement. I put a stent just 2 millimeter before the lesion or the strut, and then I do a 1 millimeter movement, then the stent moves just 1 millimeter with every step. So there is a better control with this 1 millimeter movement when we do this kind of lesions, and it is easier done than the manual thing, so it definitely helps. This is actually a very fantastic feature of a robot, that you can't perform these movements manually. When you do a manual angioplasty, you can just do a rotation, you can do a puncturing movement, you can rotate 180 degree or you can rotate 360 degree, but you can't do a ROR movement when you are doing like rotate when you retract. So that movement cannot be performed manually. This is a very good movement when you cross the diagonals or septal, you want to cross a side branch. You just go in front, take the wire back with the ROR movement, it automatically flips into a side branch. You go with the wiggle movement. The wiggle movement is a one in a tortuous arteries. That wiggle movement helps you to just cross the artery. Then there is something called as a spiral movement, which just when you do a spiral, it in the branches where the artery, where there is a multiple branches, your wire tend to go one alternate side. With this movement, it just goes inside. Which are the movements which are not possible for a human hand are possible with the robot, and it makes your life completely easy. Yeah, it's like we do a daughtering when there is a slow flow phenomena, no flow phenomena. Sometimes there is a calcific lesion, you have to put a stent, you have to put a constant pressure and take balloon up and down like stent device, you have to just push and then take it back. Daughter helps in all those cases. It's like a daughtering of the artery. It goes up, it goes front, it goes behind, and that's the way it goes inside the artery. If the lesion is calcific, there is a spur of ostia around some of the segment which are not visible with the angiography. This daughtering movement, just the device goes there, it finds its own way with the daughtering, and then it enters into the coronary. So that's the way it is a very helpful movement. In today's case, there is a ostial origin. If you see here, it was a down going ostia. It was an anomalous origin. It was just 2 mm above the routine ostial. The origin of RCA was just above the cusp, not into the right coronary cusp. There are two tortuosities, very large bends, which are moving completely more than 180 degrees. The first was in a proximal RCA, second was in a mid RCA. Both the bends were almost 160 to 170 degree bend, and the lesion I selected was almost 40 mm of a length. So crossing a large, like lengthy stent, long stent, 40 mm stent across the tortuosities when there is an anomalous RCA origin, the problem is that moment you try to push the stent, sometimes the ostia comes out. The lesion, the stent most of the times does not maneuver through ostial those bends. So what happened here is, once I crossed the lesion, I engaged the guiding, and then I kept guiding engaged inside, like I deeply engaged by the robotic arms, and then I took a stent and I pushed it 1 mm by 1 mm, and keeping the guiding probe, the robotic probe, just pushing inside the ostia, and then putting the stent by 1 mm down into those two tortuosities. So I could negotiate those tortuosities without much effort by sitting outside. This is the importance of a robotic arm. If I was doing angioplasty manually, my one hand is at the guiding, my another hand is I am pushing a stent. The moment I try to push the stent, this guiding comes out. I have to put my first hand to adjust this guiding and then maneuver these two things. Here, by sitting outside, by these two knobs, I am keeping a complete control over the guide and the complete control over the stent. This is the importance of today's case. Actually, there are three things here how it benefits is: number one is patient's perspective, number two is operator's perspective, and number three is overall social perspective of this robotic arm. Because I operate in a place like Miraz, which is a semi-urban area. It's not a metro of India where you get everything possible. But being taking a robotic technology till the masses, we call them all of the masses. They are all farmers. They are not accessible to the high-end technology which are present in metros. But that technology we brought into these places, and patient perspective, it is benefiting them by having the precision of a technology like ostia bifurcation. I am putting a stent across the ostia, perfectly into the ostia, perfectly into the bifurcation lesions, so that the longevity, the restenosis rates are very, very less. You do a precise stenting. If you miss ostia, if your stent placement is wrong, the chances of restenosis are higher. So I am giving the best of the quality to the patients as a patient's perspective. For operator perspective, operator is sitting outside, my only one technician is inside, I don't require 4 or 5 people into the room. The cath lab, the radiation exposure is very less. One of the studies has shown that if you do a manual, it is around 4.6 MSV. When I do a robotic, it is 0.26 MSV. So almost 50 to 60 times less radiation to my staff and the people around. That is most important thing for me when I operate, because I have to do this day and night. So this is very important. And with this technology, we are touching more lives. We are trying to save more lives in the area around, which is making us like operators are comfortable. They can operate more cases. They can be more concerned when you are sitting outside at your comfort zone. You are more accurately judging the lesions. Your decision making is more accurate. So you are giving the better results to the patients. So you are saving more lives. So that's how it helps.